All right, let's go.
Let's get this show going, man.
Hurry up, hurry up! Hurry up! Hurry up! Hurry up! We're gonna have action. Right here. You ain't going nowhere. Well, yeah, you got some safety. Yeah, show me that. Yeah, show me. Hey, why don't we have the ball at the 5, third down and 2? That was bad. We're gonna have some fun, bro. We ain't gotta talk about too much. We want to play the ball. It's holding. What? How is that not called? That ain't gonna call a damn thing. What is the delay for? He's standing right there. He's taking a card out. He's a piece of paper. It's that close.
Hello and welcome. We are the Aussie guys. I'm AJ. Here with me is G. Oh, well. If I can
there I am.
There you
Thank
are.
you. Thank you for
How you
inviting
doing?
me. Good. Woo.
And the Tigs, the mighty Tigs, they've done it again, G.
3 out of 4.
They are, can we use the D word yet?
Oh, geez, you'd have to, wouldn't you?
Just about.
3 premierships in 4 years. Well, what constitutes a dynasty?
Ooh, getting pretty damn close. And we might have some guests drop in this evening, and I can see one.
Oh, I thought it was just like date night, just you and me.
Oh, well, yeah, G, but we can.
And, quiet and just just
We
romantic
don't
almost.
exclusive.
I
We
can
don't
turn
be
the lights.
exclusive. We can.
No, we don't. No, swinging is a really big thing these days. I hear.
Yeah, hang on. Let me just doll myself up here.
Nice.
How's that?
I don't know. I don't know if that goes down too well in the swinger set, but for some people, who knows? Who knows? I'm just gonna have a little shot here for the Tigs.
Oh, very nice for the Tigers.
I
Very
didn't
nice.
watch the game. We're probably already lost Ganley. He's probably turned off already.
Yep. Hey, Matt, how you doing? Let me invite Neil in here because it's a bit awkward me with my lippy on here. So let me just invite Neil in.
Really?
Neil, how you doing?
I'm good. Hi, G.
Neil, how are you?
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Now I can hear sound. I can hear sound coming out of somewhere. Is that you, Neil?
Yes, because as soon as Neil joined, things went off the kilter.
Oh, okay.
What?
All right.
Yeah, we got feedback.
Oh,
Yep. You might have to put some headphones on. I'm just going to mute you for the moment. Go and find some headphones. All right. So, G, well, listen, it was double pleasure for you.
Ooh.
It was a menage a trois. No, not a menage a trois because that's that. Oh, well, it gets double pleasure for you in a menage a trois. So your Tigers, obviously, that was the big one.
Yes.
The Falcons.
A win. Now,
win.
If you look at the Falcons season and the games that we should have won,
yep,
mate, we're right in contention.
Oh, absolutely, you are. Absolutely, you are, G.
You know, take out
and
the
your
blow
boy
by Seattle, mate.
I'll let you do it.
What's that?
Who had a big game? It was.
Who had a big game?
Oh,
when? Today?
You messed it up.
Yes, no
today.
idea.
Julio.
Yes. So Calvin Ridley's down with the ankle, so fingers crossed. Not a good. Now, I haven't seen the game yet, and I've been at work all day. I've come home and I've done a lot of stuff.
Yep.
Did DJ Moore play today?
Yes.
Yep.
Did he catch a ball?
I believe he caught a ball.
One.
Why? I haven't seen the game yet. Has anybody seen the game? Neil, did you watch it? You don't do anything at home. You're sitting in your ass bludgeoning away. Plenty of time to watch games and do pretty much nothing. Kept man. Walk around the hollow grounds of Scott's College.
Yep.
Exactly.
He did play. He caught one really deep ball.
Was it a touchdown? It wasn't a touchdown though. No. Okay. I had a bad day today. Fantasy-wise, had a bad day. Bad day.
Well, of course, all the people who played Curtis Samuel had a good day today.
A couple of sets as well.
Sorry, he what?
Well, he was taken out. I tell you, who was it? It was a couple of dirty plays. Well, it was a trip by, what was his name? What's his name? Defensive end for the Falcons. He was with the Rams. I can't recall.
Names escapes me. I know. I can see him now.
It'll come to us. And so that was a tripping. He essentially put his leg straight out. Dave, how you going? Put his leg straight out.
Sorry, Dave. Did Dave say that? He just joined us, just in case for Dave that just joined us.
And it was a late hit as well when Teddy basically went to ground.
Okay.
So
it can't be any later than what happened to foul.
Thanks, Matt.
I'll take foul. Thanks, Matt.
Foul.
It can't be any worse than what happened to I wasn't laughing. That happened to the Red Rocket last week, Red Rifle, whatever you want to call him.
No, very true.
That was shocking. Seriously shocking. Mate, he was basically lying on the ground.
Oh, I know.
Like he got hit.
Yeah. No, that was awful. We've also got Ben Harler joining us. Let me add him in here. And Neil's disappeared. He might be doing some techie things.
We've got someone decent on now.
Ben, welcome.
It's almost like we gave the coach's son a quick run on the field, and now we've dragged him off and we've brought him the start.
Yeah, I've got my shin pads on now. I'm ready to go.
No, we're not playing soccer, dude. Actually, talking about soccer, this week I think it was last weekend. I couldn't watch the game. I'm not very good at watching. I don't mind watching the home and away games.
Yep.
Grand final day, the last two I've watched because I've been somewhere and I've watched them. But this one I couldn't watch, so I went down the back of and just watched something else. I watched that series Ted Lasso. Have you seen it, Ben? Talking about soccer.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
What do you think of it?
Look, he's actually done a few of little snippets before that I've seen, but they then turned it into the full kind of series show. So I think I'm about maybe 5 or 6 episodes in. I haven't seen it all yet.
Oh, okay.
But, look, it's tough because I think anytime you try do stuff, Jesus Christ, anything time you try to make fun out of something that so many people take so seriously, it really doesn't work. I don't think there's bits that are really funny, there's bits that are funny, but there's too much of we say things differently. We say we use this. There's too many little cliches and stuff for me.
Oh, see, I don't mind that part because I find that probably more realistic. Is I know when I travel and you say things and people just look at you like, okay, that means something obviously different, or you just don't get it, or you have something else for that, or so I sort of get. I didn't think they used it too much. I really enjoyed it. I did a binge. I'm not a series watcher, but I thought, man, I'll just sit down there. They're only maybe 9 episodes or whatever in the first season. I just watched them and then finished the next off the following day. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I thought it was a good concept.
Yeah, it's an easy watch, right? It's just
it is. Yeah, and that's a good thing about it.
Yeah, and for a man of your intellect, G, who spends a lot of time reading the classics, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a break at night for you.
Eh? Just shut the brain down, mate. Shut the brain down.
But never mind, right? I wanted to come on to talk about the Falcons because I watched it today, and oh man, did they do my head in? Straight away, they come out of the gate, and he goes bang bang, goes about 80 yards, Julio 3 times or whatever it was, and then in the red zone they run it twice, and they get 3rd and 1. They give it to Gurley, and he doesn't get it, but he's literally 4th and inches on the 1.
Yep.
And they kick the field goal. I was just like, that really bothered me straight away because I was like, you've already just dominated the field, put up a bit of a statement intent, and even if you don't go for it, right? Even if you go for it and you don't get it, you still pig them back at the 1 yard line in your own stadium, you know, and you've got them on the back foot. Now, it then annoyed me later on because, you know, the Panthers kept going for it on 3rd and 4th down and not making it like at all. I think they went for it twice on 4th down and didn't get it at key stages where they should have, you know, taken control of the game. And the only time they actually converted on 4th down was when they had a delay of game on 4th and 5, and then they fake punted on 4th and 9 to Jeremy Chin, who got the yardage. So it was just, I thought the Panthers took all the risks, and the Panthers looked like they were trying to win the game. Yeah. And the Falcons were kind of stumbling towards a victory. And, you know, I mean, Matt Ryan ran 22 yards for a touchdown because, you know, that really young Panthers defense just, you know, made too many mistakes.
Well, that's how bad the run defense is. Matt Ryan's running for 22-yard touchdowns. We bring this up every show when you're playing against the Panthers. If whatever running back you start, though, they must be getting close to 40 touchdowns in a season and a half for running backs or for runners, no matter quarterbacks included. So,
do you think Todd Gurley was just trying to show that he knew how to stop before the goal line this week? Maybe
that really annoyed me last week. Like, they're out of timeouts.
Yeah.
Why are you even trying to even get anywhere near scoring? Just run into the pot. It doesn't matter. He should have
just taken a knee.
Yeah. Mate, I was almost yelling at the screen the same thing I did in the Super Bowl. Just take a knee.
Yes.
Take a knee. You know, just kick the field goal. Why are you even trying to score? You should have said, if you break a tackle, don't break the second one. Just get wrapped up. Just fall to the ground. Like, he broke the tackle. Sorry?
Gurley had 6 carries for 4 yards at halftime today and looked completely like the Gurley probably from last year who, you know, looked like he had a bum knee and all that kind of good. He made it better in the second half, but it was late and 100%, you know, that the Panthers defense was gassed by the fourth quarter, and, you know, they ran in a touchdown after Matt Ryan ran for another 3rd and 7 on the same issue for the Panthers. So I think you're right in saying that, you know, the Falcons, they could easily be, what are they now, 2-5? They could be, you know, 3-3.
Mate, they could be. Mate, seriously, they could be
5-2.
Well, they could be 5-2.
Yeah, but I think from what I saw today, there's still huge questions about the offense. I know the defense is bad, but I thought Keanu Neal was fantastic today, by the way.
Yep.
He was great. He looks like back to his best, which is good.
Doesn't he?
I mean, there was 2 balls. One that Ryan, for the pick, that he floated up. You know how he's got this weird lofted, like it doesn't look like it's going anywhere. It looks like it's going more vertical than 5 degrees. Second half to Julio Jones, and he should have been picked there in the red zone as well. Yeah. And it's all on play action, and it's all under pressure. And you just think, don't throw it, Matt. You know, just don't throw it.
Yeah, there was so many chances for them to just Atlanta Falcon that game, and just literally it was that kind of seesaw.
Matt, you have a problem if there's a name for it now. Don't forget Falcon it.
Hey, listen, Andrew gave us a little trivia question there. How many rushing TDs does Matt Ryan have in his career?
Mate, he has run a fair few touchdowns in, Matt Ryan.
Yes. I would have thought that the answer was a lot lower than the actual answer.
Okay, I'll say 12.
I was going to say 12 as well, so I'll take unlucky for some 13 then.
Okay, well, the answer, believe it or not, is 10.
Yeah. Ooh, close.
Not underrated. He's an underrated runner.
But it's not so much. He's a smart runner.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's very true.
Okay.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the Kyler Murray effect. He just runs around with a chook like a headless chook. But the guy still is amazing, obviously. But he doesn't do that. He only does it when he knows he can and get away with it, basically.
Yes.
So,
yep.
But anyway, have we got any more news besides the Falcons winning, which I'll go and watch after we've finished this? So let's wrap this up.
Yeah, totally.
Now.
And I just wrote down. Someone mentioned before the fake punt. That might have been you, Ganley. Jeremy Chin on the fake punt. I've got him in several fantasy teams, but in leagues that don't give yards to defensive backs. But I think he got about 28 yards or so.
Yeah, I've got him in one, and I got the sleeper notification. And I was trying to figure out, because I wasn't watching at that point, I thought it was like he'd got an interception and run it back or something. I was like, oh, that's a nice one.
Yeah. So go and watch it if you haven't seen it. It's pretty cool. Calvin Ridley out with the ankle injury. Of course, we don't have an update on that as yet. And Curtis Samuel, who no one had in their fantasy lineup, with 2 touchdowns. And, everyone will be going to the waiver wire or, throwing out trade offers this week. But, I mean, is it something you can rely on? Probably not.
CMC will be back next week. So
he will,
one of his first touchdown was a end-around running back play. So you won't get that next week. So
No.
I think just to tie up the Jeremy Chin, I have him in the Rockolution League that we guys have got with it, and he actually outscored Calvin Ridley and DJ Moore put together. So sorry, Jerry, I managed to bunk you there with just Jeremy Chin. So
yep.
I'd like to thank you, Ben, for the trade we did last week too, because that it didn't work out for me today. It worked out for me last week. It doesn't always work out, but I think as the year goes on, once CMC gets back, I think that the DJ Moore trade was going to favour me a fair bit. Thanks, mate.
No, I lost by 3 points as well, sir.
You would have been better actually keeping DJ Moore, because I was checking your score to see. Geez, I'm with you.
What killed me was that I started Jarek McKinnon instead of Jamal Williams. That's what killed me.
Yeah, there's always one of those each week in your lineup, without a doubt.
Oh,
so
my word!
You can't play ball.
Well, it looks like Jamal Williams will be starting again this week, as well as Gio. I think Gio might get the start this week as well.
Boston Scott as well.
And possibly Boston Scott.
I have one league where I've managed to roster. Wait a minute, it's relevant. Sorry, Mister. Let's talk about my trade last week.
Saying thank you. He's right in front of me.
Where I've rostered all 4 Seattle running backs. Just who knows who's going to suit up this week?
Man,
that's a tough one, because I think Homer's a good runner if you give him a chance.
Heck.
The rookie
DJ Dallas.
You eventually got to find out what you've drafted. Like Homer, I think Homer's a second year guy.
Yep, that's right.
DJ, you got to eventually, when the opportunity arises, you got to find out what you've actually got. So you run out Carlos Hyde. It's like playing Frank Gore all the time. It's like you draft these rookies for a reason. To what?
Does any of this matter to you, Neil? Because can you just confirm to us and the viewing public how many shares of Odell Beckham Jr. you actually have?
All of them.
There's 2 leagues I don't have him in.
And how many leagues are you taking in part in this year, Neil?
Hey?
How many leagues are you taking part in?
The ones that matter, probably about 14. So we've got 12 shares of Odell Beckham. So it was a tough week, I'm not going to lie. Things got emotional.
Nothing wrong with the man crush. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. So we've got any other news?
Yes, fair call by Andrew. I need to keep this on track.
Yes.
The Texans are apparently shopping multiple players, and we are approaching the trade deadline. I think it might be a busy one this year. Julian Edelman, has had a knee procedure. He might be out for some period of time, and the Patriots are not looking good.
Oh, Cam looked atrocious. Atrocious. Mate,
Yes.
and I'll tell you, mate, that shoulder's no good. I don't care what it, mate, that shoulder's no good. I don't know if it's
you
a new
think?
throw. No, mate, he has no zip on the ball at all. None. He struggled. He seriously looked, mate, Kyle Allen looked so much better. Looks so much better.
Really?
I'll tell you who looks so much better. Tom Brady.
Oh,
Tom Brady sort of now started to work his way into it, Ben. I thought his first 3 or 4 games, he looked a little bit at sea.
That throw to Scott Miller.
do you think it was just? Do you think it was just
Beautiful ball.
bit of time?
The quarterback.
The quarterback whisperer.
Do you really think Bruce needs to have a whisper in Tom Brady's ear?
No one's whispering in Tom Brady's ear.
Mate, is there anything that Bruce Arians could teach Tom Brady now?
Well, I think the only thing he could probably teach him is more plays to his wide receivers, because that wasn't exactly something that in New England he was a big part of the playbook. Like he's hitting guys like Scotty Miller. He's hitting guys downfield more often, and those plays weren't in the playbook, right? Not in the playbook in New England. So it's not that we can see that he can do it, and he could have done it more regularly. But that's the only thing I can say. Like, I think he is looking at a playbook that has more options for him down the field, and that's suiting him.
So just another little tenuous fact I heard today that Ben will like, that's related to the coach. Jameis Winston last year, 30 for 30, 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions.
Yeah.
Which NFL quarterback is currently on track to beat that this year with 30 and 31 interceptions?
Are we going up to my old stomping ground in Minnesota, mate?
Yep. Kirk Cousins is on track to finish the season with 30 touchdowns and 31 interceptions.
Oh man.
It must be a contract bonus. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh my goodness. Gardner Minshew apparently has multiple fractures and a strained ligament in his thumb. Not sure if he's going to be playing this week.
Throwing thumb?
Oh, they're not playing this week because they're on a bye, AJ.
Oh, they are too. So they're definite. You heard it here first. Minshew not playing this week. AB will be ready for week 9 versus the Giants. Are we ready for it? Antonio Brown again.
Mate, I went through every league to see if he was available. Every league. And I got him in one.
What do you think what do you think the realistic impact will be?
Mate, realistic impact? There's a possibility he could be okay because Tom Brady wants him. So I figure if Tom Brady wants him, he's not going to start, and Tom Brady's not going to look his way a bit.
Yep.
I think it's who's going to kill?
That was my next question: is who do you think it impacts?
Godwin's out for a few weeks, isn't he?
Godwin is out for a little bit.
Yeah,
I sort of feel like
Godwin really hasn't been having the impact in the games that he's been in.
No,
like I don't know. I don't own any shares of him, so I don't know what his fantasy output is. But watching the game, just as a game, it sort of hasn't been. I find Scotty Miller's been more of the guy that Brady's been trusting more than Chris Godwin, to be honest. And if you
he might be that deep threat.
Yeah, and look, and Mike Evans didn't have a good game, but there were some bad throws by Brady when Mike Williams, especially one, mate, he missed him by about 2 meters over the top of his head, and he was standing there by himself. He could have had a better game, but I just feel it's just he really is spreading it around in Tampa at the moment.
Gronk's warming up as well.
He's starting to warm up.
I didn't want to believe that. I didn't really want to believe it would be this good. I was a naysayer for sure. man, that offense is rocking. Well, the whole team is rocking. The defense is insane.
Dude, the hoodie doesn't work, right? When it's a size 12 hoodie and the guy wearing it is like size 14. Doesn't work. What else we got?
Okay. The Dolphins extended Adam Shaheen 2 years, up to $7.85 million, 3.2 guaranteed, which is a nice segue into it's a big week for the Finns this week because
it's like Austin Powers where he goes, whoop-de-doo, Basil.
Because their franchise quarterback is starting this week. That's very exciting. We all excited for Tua time?
No, I was enjoying Fitzmagic, mate. Sorry.
I know, that's a bit sad.
I was enjoying
so well.
He was playing so well, and it's just, mate, like we spoke about, the vibe of the team looked fantastic.
Yeah.
Mate, they're all enjoying it.
Yeah,
they're
absolutely.
enjoying him. He was enjoying it. You can see the connection the guys have with him. So, they're all professionals.
Do you think Fitzmagic asks for a trade? Because, there's a few teams out there that he's got a shot at a playoff run. They're playing the way he's playing. He could be pretty useful to a few teams.
He doesn't feel like that sort of guy. I think.
The Cowboys could do with him.
If he went to the Cowboys, they'd win that division.
I think they're starting Danucci this week.
Yeah. If he went to the Cowboys, they would win that division because the Eagles could be anything.
Ben DiNucci. You're all familiar with Ben DiNucci, of course, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Very.
I got a quote.
Surely watched some film on him.
I got. No, I haven't actually. I saw him last week. Yeah, okay. I've seen. He was so out of his depth. So the game was moving far too quick for him. Far too quick. And you're not telling me a week of practice is going to make him any better. Sorry.
And he was a 7th round pick as well. Whoever scouted him. Jesus,
7th round pick. Wow. So that's a nice segue into the Trevor Lawrence Bowl. So currently winning, and I don't know that if you're Trevor Lawrence, you're very happy about this, is the Jets, the 0-7 Jets.
News.
Yes.
Trevor Lawrence has COVID.
Oh, yes, I did see that.
So that makes him ineligible for the draft next year, Neil?
No, I'm just saying. It's news. If we're still in the news segment,
what do you, mate, these college kids, what do you think they're doing? Do you think they're in an isolation bubble?
Guys, news. The entire United States have COVID. Like everyone.
Mate, 47 states are on the up. 47. How many states they got? 50? Yeah. Out of control.
His doctor, Trevor Lawrence's doctor, has said officially, and I think he's documented this as an official doctor's advice that he can't be drafted by the Jets. So he's got that on paper. But also possibly in the Trevor Lawrence, although some of these
another reason why are the Falcons winning? What just
I know. Well, I was going to say, Falcons. Listen to this. So next up, Giants 1-6. Jags are 1-6. So they're both teams in the Trevor Lawrence stakes, right?
No, but do you think they'd go away from Daniel Jones if they had the opportunity to?
Yes.
They would? Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm just asking.
Four is the Finns, believe it or not, via the Texans.
Okay.
So that's they're going to pick they're going to pick an impact player there. 5 is the Vikings, but they've got a fantastic quarterback, haven't they, Neil?
They don't need a quarterback. Not even looking at it.
They've got a quarterback that they're paying like one of the highest salaries in the league guaranteed next year. So,
mate, and they got a defense that needs so much work.
He's a record-setting quarterback. Leave him alone.
At 6 currently is the Bengals at 1-5-1, or they've got their quarterback of the future. At 7, I think there's a mix of teams on 2 wins, but the Falcons, I think, at 2-6. The Cowboys are 2-5. Washington is 2-5, and the Chargers are 2-4. So
what are the Pats? How many games have the Pats won?
Not sure. That was the top 10. Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm not sure where the Pats are in that. But
I think they've only won 2.
Have they? So they must be next. And when you see the impact of a player like Justin Herbert. Now imagine if you had Justin Herbert at the Falcons. Boy. Matt Ryan.
Mate,
look,
I think you just really shut up about Justin Herbert, mate, because you weren't happy when you drafted him.
I was on that draft show. I remember your reaction, AJ.
So if you want to get on, yeah. So let's just move on. This swipe left or right, I don't know how Tinder works, but let's just move on to the next one.
All right. And the last bit I just wanted to mention is there is obviously, well, not obviously, but there is only one undefeated team left in the league. Well, one OFA team, and that's the Jets, and one undefeated team, which is Steelers. Following right on the Steelers' heels, the Chiefs are 6-1, Packers are 5-1, and Titans are 5-1. So
mate, the biggest concern at the moment, if I was the rest of the league, is the Chiefs, because I don't think Patty Mahomes is looking that great at the moment. And when he, mate, I don't think he is.
No, he's not. Not looking like last year.
The year, and definitely not the year before.
No.
I think once he starts to get going in the second half of the season, and they're looking back to me at the moment.
I read this, I think yesterday. I'm not sure the source, but apparently at this stage in the season, it's the largest disparity between the records, so the winning records compared to the losing records. So there's more teams being 6-1 and the other teams being 1-6 than I think it was something like 30 or 40 years. So
and why is that? Did they say why they think that is? Is there any ideas?
Well, I think they argued that it might be because of no preseason and a lot of coaching sort of teams around the league, and you certainly see it. I mean, I think looking at an offense like the Panthers, who everybody wrote off at the start of the year, they look pretty good today. They struggled on third downs, as we talked about earlier, but you can see that offense now starting to look like that. Probably as well as the Cardinals as well. Like that they sort of looked a bit iffy for a couple of weeks and now got into it.
Yeah, and once you like we said, once you get CMC back, not just as a running back, just as the weapon that he is and what he does to defenses, that allows his offense to open up even more. Just going to look even better, Ben.
Did anyone have Tyler Lockett last week in their fantasy?
Yeah, mate, you were talking to the biggest share owner in Tyler Lockett in fantasy football.
He's a player that still doesn't seem to get the respect, right?
And I still didn't win some of my leagues. So that doesn't say much for the rest of my rosters. So
it's crazy.
Anyway, we'll talk about that, and we should be moving on to that, AJ.
Yes, and
mate, they have the bowl of fruit, the Karma.
I'll see if I can find it.
What's the name? Karma.
Isn't it Carmen?
Carmen.
Carmel. Miranda. Carmel.
Yes, that's it. Yes, yeah. I think that's right.
Yeah,
I think
with
that
a bowl
is.
of fruit. Yeah, I'll see if I can find. But of course, the Washington football team, the Cards, the Jags, and the Texans with the bye this week.
Mm-hmm.
Now, our team that we're putting together this week, G, and this was a much harder one, I must say, than next week's is going to be, because I was looking through players and thinking, yep. When I was thinking about next week's challenge, but this week's challenge was putting together a fantasy team of players that are playing, right? So we're not going. It's playing this week.
No flex this week.
A starting roster. Players that. Well, how did you describe it, G?
I just said it was players that whether you watched them in college and you thought this is the guys that you liked and have gone on to be quality football players. So I put it down to my hit squad this week. So hit squad. So the guys that I said that I thought were going to be good, we probably spoke about over the last 6 years. We've been doing our rookie, what would we call it? Our rookie segments. Yeah, so I said, let's put together a team of the guys that we've hit on, and then next week we can put together a team of the guys we missed on. Not now. Next week's, I know it's 7 days away, but just to clarify, is we don't want to put together the guys that you've missed that are crap or no longer play in the leagues. We want you to the guys, and we'll put together the teams that we missed on and turned out to be good players. Like I'll give you for example, but. The guy on my team next week will be Christian McCaffrey. Now, I like Christian McCaffrey, but I didn't think he was a physical enough football player, and I was concerned about where he'd be in the NFL, so I didn't have him as high.
Yes.
So I'll say that's a miss because look what he's turned into. So there's an example of a player that I missed on.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. So Ben and Neil, this obviously short notice, but play along if you want to, or if players come to mind. So these are players that we were pretty high on in pre-draft process, and they've come good.
Yes. So quarterback. Sorry?
Oh, quarterback. Yeah, okay, quarterback. Well, my quarterback's Jared Goff. And I liked him over Wentz. Oh, by a long way. Because
I believe I had Wentz above Jared Goff.
You did actually, but things didn't look good for Goff's first year, for sure, and certainly it looked like I'd had egg on my face that first year from Wentz and Goff. Wentz came out of the blocks pretty quick, but I still am a Goff believer. There's people who label him a system quarterback. It's like meh. Whatever, system quarterback.
But there's nothing wrong with being a system quarterback if you work within the system.
No, well, exactly.
What's wrong with that?
Perfect. Yes, precisely.
Mate, would you rather have a system quarterback or a quarterback that doesn't work?
Yeah, well, exactly. Actually, I've got some suggestions here in the chat, but I might put them up when we get to those positions. Sorry, guys. Mm-hmm. But we'll just do quarterback for now. Who was your... Oh, I know who your quarterback is.
Easy. That's the easy one. That's Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
And if anybody's been listening to us for years, I had Patrick Mahomes as the best offensive player coming out in that draft. So he came out in 2017, the 10th overall pick. I just put down a few people that I'm a lot smarter than, and that's Sports SI. SportsIllustration.com ranked him the third best quarterback. ESPN had him the fourth rated quarterback, so I'm smarter than at least those two.
Yep.
So far he's had 36 starts, 10,886 yards, 8.2 yards a throw, 89 touchdowns already, only 19 interceptions, already Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, most valuable player, NFL Offensive Player of the Year. And, mate, there was a list of stuff that was written down. I just couldn't go through it all. Just everything. I think he was it was incredible. Every week he was breaking a record. Fantasy-wise, this is what he's done for fantasy. In 2017, obviously he didn't start. He sat while Alex Smith was the quarterback and learnt the game. 2018, he averaged 26.1 fantasy points, and with a season tally of 417, he was ranked number one by 63 fantasy points to the next quarterback.
Oof. Yep.
2019, he was at 20.5 fantasy points a game. Only played 14 games. Season tally of 287, ranked number 7. But if you base it on 16 games, if he played 16 games, which he can't because he didn't play it, but if you base it on that, he was the number 3 quarterback. 2017, 7 games already, 24.4 fantasy points a game for you, and ranked number 3 already. So, and at this rate, he's going to score you 383.62 fantasy points by the end of the year if he keeps it at this rate. So, this week he plays against the Jets, who are giving up 42 fantasy points to QBs. Oh, no, sorry, that's not right. 18.8 fantasy points to QBs. They're ranked 13. But the wide receivers are giving up 35 and the running backs are giving up 27. So it might be a bit of a running back game against the Jets. That's the weakest link at the moment. So he was mine, Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
I'm not following that. That's just impossible to follow. How are you meant to follow that? That's ridiculous.
Follow what?
Well, who did you? Well, it doesn't have to be someone. I mean,
that's
it doesn't have to compare to
Mahomes.
Mahomes.
Sorry, how do you follow? I thought what I said. I thought, am I speaking a different language or something? It's the accent that's getting you bed. But you can't. Sorry, unfortunately, no.
I'm going to put up a bit of a controversial one, but I still think, based on what we've had so far. So, I was pretty high on Daniel Jones last year, and obviously he was taken high, and I took him quite high in the rookie drafts as well. This year I think has, from fantasy wise, has been a bit of a kick in the teeth. But last year he was a useful fantasy quarterback last year. Like particularly in redraft leagues, he was very, very handy. And, I think he's a guy who, still has a lot of development ahead. And the interesting thing is he's already had a head coaching change. He's already had a scheme change, and he's lost Saquon Barkley. So he did pretty well, in their win last week. But you can start to play in a minute now, AJ. But I think it's pretty safe to say that he has exceeded expectations so far in the NFL.
Oh, compared to what the Bronx cheese, or not even Bronx cheese, what he got when he was picked when they had the screen at the stadium, wasn't it? Didn't they have people sitting in MetLife Stadium just booed?
Yeah.
So, Neil, have you got anybody? Or Neil's looking at something else.
He's muted.
I was just looking through
I really don't.
I've got my dog. I didn't want to annoy you. I was just looking through the list of quarterbacks. I don't think there's. It's interesting that there's that kind of top tier, and then there's the kind of older guys. And I'm not going to pick the low hanging fruit. The Kyler Murray's like pick one in the draft. You're not going to you can't say that you hit him when everyone else was going against him. So I don't really think there is, because you've got the Rodgers, the Bradys, the Breezes at one end of the scale. You've got Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray at the other end, and then in the middle, you'd be hard pressed to say that you are you're really shouting from the rooftops about any of the rest of them, unless someone picked Dak. Dak's obviously injured now, but if someone sat here and said Dak,
if you picked Russell Wilson when he came out, that's a good pick.
Oh, my word. If you picked Dak when he came out, that was an excellent pick.
Yeah. If you thought Dak or Russell Wilson was going to be something, you've done really well.
Yeah.
Very well. Okay, move on to the running backs. AJ, who you got?
Let's move on to running back.
Who's your first one?
Okay. Well, my first one, actually, I share this with Dave because I actually went for Nick Chubb, who I was pretty adamant in that draft class, but I think you and I were agreed on that, G, is in that draft class we were Chubb number one. But who was the other back in that class? There was someone else who was very, very good. I have a feeling. Wasn't there?
Do you know? And you're just asking us.
No, I'm asking a legit question.
Mate, I'm not going to get enough one. I don't remember.
No, doesn't matter. We'll keep on going. But yeah, Dave agrees with me. Nick Chubb, has he seen his full potential realized? Maybe not, because he's very, very good, obviously. But he doesn't kind of get the workhorse, carries that someone like Zeke does.
Okay, so that's yours, and that's the homework you've done on it. Well done. Okay, well I'm going to give you
Yes.
mine. Derrick Henry.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Come out of Alabama, like a lot of people. Look, the cons that scouts had on him were the fact that the wear and tear of Alabama running back, and granted, the last year he was there, he had 395 carries. That's a lot of carries for a running back in mate, even in high school football, because you're only, you have to. It's all in comparison about who you're playing against and who you are as a grown adult. His upright running style, his slow acceleration, his foot speed, pass catching ability, a lot of negatives, and I agree with some of them. The upright running style, I don't care about the upright running style. I don't mind the way Latavius Murray runs. I'm blanking on who was at the Raiders.
Yes,
6 years ago.
I was just thinking of him.
Cadillac Williams?
No. 6 years ago. He
was the classic upright. Yes, he's the classic upright running style.
But Bo Jackson had a little bit of the upright running style about him as well. But aside all that, myself, look, I had concerns about the acceleration, but the things I liked about him was just his sheer size, his violent running style. Once he broke the first tackle, he was gone. His open field speed for the size of the guy that he was. And I spoke about this when we're doing the draft on him.
Darren McFadden.
Darren McFadden, thank you. So if you go back and watch his high school football, and then look at Bama, he's just so much bigger than everybody else.
Oh, I remember, G, when you were watching the film on Henry, and you sent me a link. You said, "Dude, you've got to watch this." You sent me a clip from his high school.
Oh, it's just, mate.
And
he was kneeling down with his hands. And he was still taller than the quarterback.
Yes,
he was
like an adult.
It's a monster. He was a monster, and he's just continued
watching the Island boys play rugby in New Zealand against the little white guys.
like the Scots, for instance. Yeah. Plus that pasty skin that they've got. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. But, mate, he'd run through tackles. So I really like Derrick Henry. So if we look at Derrick Henry's fantasy value, if you had gone and picked up Derrick Henry when he first came out, this is what he would have given you. 2016, he was ranked 45th. I won't go through all the numbers. 2017. Now, you got to remember he had DeMarco Murray's first 2 years too. So he had to sit behind DeMarco Murray. So he only gave you an average of seven fantasy points a game. 2017, 8.4 fantasy points a game, ranked 37th, so he's on the way up. 2018, we now have DeMarco Murray gone, and for the first time, we actually see Derrick Henry as the number one running back at the Titans. He puts up 12.6 fantasy points per game, jumps to number 16 running backs by the end of the year. Now, that's when everybody started to get, okay, now Derrick Henry's could be this guy. Then 2019, we saw what happened. Jumped from 12.6 to 19.6 fantasy points a game, from 201 to 294 fantasy points a game, and jumped from 16 to number 5 running back for this season. We know that he had the most, I believe he had the most rushing yards for the season. And this year so far, he's now averaging again. He's topping that. He's now at 21.1 fantasy points a game, and he's ranked number 4. So if you had gone and got Derrick Henry and just sat on him and just waited for his time to shine, and you believed in him, mate, you in the last year and this year, you are being paid dividends.
Oh, my word. And, gee, I've just put up this from Dave. It was Saquon Barkley in that draft. And I have a feeling that you actually liked Chubb just by a smidge.
Yes, over Saquon Barkley.
Yes, that's a big call. That's a big call.
And it's wrong.
But this is one thing I say about you, G, is that you aren't afraid to make a big call.
And I really like Ronald Jones.
Yep.
And I also did like Sony Michel. I didn't like Rashard Penny at all.
No.
But I like 4 of those. I actually think 4 of the 5 guys that were put up there were in my top 5.
And you didn't like this guy, pick 43, Kerryon Johnson.
No, I didn't like Kerryon Johnson because, mate, he was always injured. Yep. And if you're always injured in college, and look what happens. You're always injured in the pros as well.
Yes.
And
now, we're picking another running back, right?
We are picking another running back.
Oh, go for it, Neil.
So I like this guy just because when I was just getting into Dynasty at this point, and I read so many like tweets and things about. So this guy's last 3 games at college, 229 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, 228 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. Final collegiate game, 301 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns.
So you're gonna base this all on 3 games?
No, they were just his last 3 games.
Yeah, okay. Did he do anything before that?
Yeah. So his second college season, so his rushing yards college, 811, 1,321. He was injured the next year, only played 2 games. And his final year, 1,773 rushing yards. Drafted in 2017 to Green Bay, Aaron Jones.
You just make it up as you go along.
What, the stats?
No, that you liked him.
No. So I drafted him based solely off the fact that I'd read these things about this guy that had scored 4 rushing touchdowns and rushed for this incredibly massive number of yards. And then no one, he fell. And I was just like, well, I'm just going to take a punt on him. And in one of the longest leagues that I've been in, I've had him the whole time. Stayed loyal with him through his drug suspension, everything like that. And yeah.
And you know what?
I'm happy with that.
You know what, Neil? I think me and you did get into dynasty leagues at around the same time, and it had nothing to do with the fact that we started listening to the show, of course. But what basically, I had a similar thing, and I'd maybe been playing dynasty maybe a year, and I had maybe 4 of my main leagues I'm still in now. My first draft was sort of 2017. And in 3 of the 4 leagues that I was picking in for rookie drafts, in each of those leagues, I managed to grab, with my first pick, I managed to grab Dalvin Cook. And with my second pick, I managed to grab Alvin Kamara. And I still have both of those guys in 2 of those leagues. So that was, after G's peacock moment, I'll take mine now. And we can move on to the wide receivers.
Well, that's what this week's all about. It's about showing the plumage. That's what it's all about.
That's amazing.
Because next week it's all going to be we're going to look like the nice big woolly sheep, mate. Going to shave us Sean next week.
I must confess that I'm a big Aaron Jones fan now, but I was more a fan of Jamal Williams coming out. I was big on Jamal Williams, and I didn't think when the Packers picked the 2 guys, I thought, oh, this is Jamal Williams' show, easy.
Well, it was solely, and it's not based on watching any tape or anything like that. It was just, I remember, and I looked it up, so I got it right, because I know G loves a stat, and he always wants it to be accurate. But I just remember reading about this freakish game that this bloke had to finish 301 yards in a game and 4 touchdowns. And I was like, yep, he's worth a flyer. I'll take him.
Wow.
Yep. Okay, so second RB, AJ, got one?
Yep, Melvin Gordon. And I liked Melvin Gordon over Todd Gurley
and I think
coming out.
I think when we did it, I think I had Melvin Gordon he was only ahead of Todd Gurley, depending on how Todd Gurley got over the knee.
Yes, yeah.
If he was okay over the knee, I had Todd Gurley switched over top of Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, and I was higher on Melvin Gordon. When the Chargers took Melvin Gordon, I was wrapped. Now I don't like him. I think he's a prick. But anyway.
I thought you might give us someone that's probably a little bit lower that just, a
little bit lower?
Yeah, that's been dynamic in the NFL that you liked. No? It's hard because my next one.
It is hard.
My next one's so obvious, but mate, I still watching this guy's film in college. He still excites me as the best running back that I've watched film on, and that's Zeke Elliott.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Mate,
Yeah. As soon as you said that, I knew where you were going.
He blew me away. And I remember talking when we had Matt on and we're talking to him about it. And just how he'd run down the sideline and half his body's hanging out and the other, but his legs stay in. It was just incredible. He's able to take up 2 areas of space at once. But yeah, drafted out of Ohio. And like I said, man, I'm a pioneer on saying that Zeke Elliott, he was taken, where was he taken in the draft? I think 3rd.
Yes. Yeah. So you're right. It's not rocket science here, but still, I mean, that's fine. You were honest then.
Fourth by the Cowboys, I think. Maybe it was 4th.
You were upfront then. It's not like you're making this up. But I know that. So yes, he was highly touted, but still, there's been guys that have come out highly touted that we've said we don't really like.
Yes, and wrong on those guys as well. But if you look at what he's done for you, if you picked him up and you had him on your fantasy teams and you've kept him, mate, he seriously hasn't let you down. In his rookie season, he was second amongst all running backs. We know that great rookie season that he had with Dak Prescott being his rookie season as well. And it was just incredible for the Cowboys. He averaged 19.6 fantasy points per game for a rookie. 2017, he was 9th with only 10 games. 2018, he was 5th among running backs, 15 games. 4th in 2019. And so far this year, he's number 8. So, okay, has he been the top guy every year? No, but he's been a number 1 running back for you ever since he's been in the league if you went out and drafted him. So, and this week he gets Philly, who ranks 7th against RBs, giving up 20 fantasy points. But they've given up a touchdown on average every game to a running back. So, load him up.
I think everybody got a little bit fooled as well the year after, thinking Leonard Fournette was Zeke Elliott. There were so many comparisons, and because Zeke had come out the year before and done so well in fantasy, everybody thought, "Oh, look at this guy from LSU who looks very similar, got the same amount of volume, very similar offense," and everybody jumped on Leonard Fournette, which I'm one of them, Ben. Yeah. Some of us might talk about him next week, obviously, but the fumbling issue is still there with Elliott, though, right? I mean, we saw it last week as well, but he has had that throughout the league, since he's been in the league, and I'm just wondering if that, does, I guess, now, looking at his value in Dynasty now compared to last year, I think it's definitely had a drastic effect.
Yeah, and if you look at when Pollard's in, the Pollard looks just as good.
Yeah,
with I must admit he's got more explosion than Zeke has. So,
yeah, for sure. I think it's interesting whether they will split that workload, and same in Carolina. Mike Davis looked good again today, and I think they'll definitely give him a few more looks.
Yep. Yeah, without a doubt. Well, when Zeke had the second fumble, mate, he was gone for half a quarter of football.
Yeah.
Well, I don't exactly know how many plays it was, but you didn't see him for quite some time.
No.
Till they brought him back in. Okay, wide receivers, AJ. Could you get rid of that, dude? That's just. I don't even know what that is, mate. I don't even know what it is.
Potato.
No, it doesn't even look like a potato. Come on, get rid of. Go to the Halloween. Just. Come on.
All right, I'll go to in a second. I will. So my first wide receiver is AJ Brown, and I've got tons of stock of AJ Brown. Was super impressed with him coming out, and he went pretty late. I think it's funny in retrospect to think how him landing at the Titans with Marcus Mariota there, of course, but him landing at the Titans, everybody dropped him down their draft boards massively. And think of that now, and it seems ludicrous, doesn't it? But you've always got to bank on the talent, I think, is the message here. And I kind of am reminded a little bit, G, about Denzel Mims landing at the Jets, I think you've got to bank on the talent and what you see on the film, and just, I guess it doesn't always play that talent wins out, but I think generally it does. Just takes time sometimes.
Just takes time, and another team possibly. Change the quarterback.
Yeah, possibly another team.
But I really liked AJ Brown coming out as well. But to me, AJ Brown still isn't a top tier wide receiver. I don't think he's a top tier. I don't think he's done enough. He looked good last year, but he's not in the realm with a lot of guys at the moment. Even though everybody talks about him like that, he's still got a lot to prove to me yet before I can put him up. Mate, we'll look what Calvin Ridley's done. Calvin Ridley's just gone straight, exploded. AJ Brown. But granted, he's in his 1 year advanced of AJ Brown. But yeah, he still needs to do a bit for me at the moment, AJ Brown. He's got the talent, but on a consistent number one wide receiver, he's not there.
So he's probably not in the top tier, but he'd be in second tier.
Yes, be in second tier.
Yeah.
Second. What do you mean, like number 2 wide receiver?
No, I mean if you're thinking about all the receivers in the league.
No, he's number 2 wide receiver for me. He's not number 1.
That's what I'm. Well, okay, all right. I'm thinking of number two second tier, down from the best guys.
Tiers. How many tiers you got? Where do you end your tiers?
Oh, I guess. Yep. All right.
I've been married for 20 years, mate. There's a lot of tiers. Okay. My first wide receiver is AJ. I know who it is straight away, and mate, he got drafted in 2015 by the Seahawks. He's still at the Seahawks, out of Kansas State, drafted 69th overall, and that's Tyler Lockett.
He gets no respect.
No, I think he's getting a bit more this year now.
I think he is. I think he is this year. Yes.
It's only taken like 5 years for that to happen, but I remember saying you just got to. I remember words saying you got to watch out for this bloke. He's been available for every game for the Seahawks bar one.
Oh,
one game.
That's incredible.
It is.
That is incredible.
If you went and grabbed him.
Well, for such a little guy, he's taken some hits as well, and he's played through injury. And you can see Wilson just trusts him, with his life. So,
without a doubt. Well, both my wide receivers have been outstanding with the amount of games that they've played for the clubs. But if you had gone and grabbed him, and I owned him in every dynasty league that I had at the time, I've traded one share of him away, and that was to AJ. No, I haven't traded him to you, have I?
Well, I've got him on Aussie Guys 1. Did you trade him to me?
I might have traded him to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite possible. Or you stole him.
It's possible.
Like you did with Coin. Like you did with Coin.
Oh, no. You did trade him to me. And I dare say it was sort of it was pretty cheap.
Was it?
I think it was pretty cheap. I'll have to go back and look at the price. Like it was a couple of years ago. Well, no, probably a few years ago, G.
Couple of drinks into me, mate, and that's how I get. I get very, very good. But if you had him in your as a rookie, ranked 44 in his rookie season, 63 2016, number 57 wide receiver 2017, and then things start to turn around for him. And you got to remember too, he's been on a team that has been a run first offense for a long time.
Yeah.
So 2018, he really started to hit his stride. Almost clocked 1,000 yards for the season, 10 touchdowns, averaged 9.3 fantasy points a week, and he was at number 23. 2019, cracked the 1,000 yard mark, 8 touchdowns, number 13 in 2019, and now we see him at number 3 so far at 2020, and he's averaging 16 fantasy points a game for you.
Oh.
But it's not the fact that if you look at his fantasy points per week, it was 5.5, 4.6 2017, 10.3 2018, 9.6. But he's never been your number one guy. This is a number 2, number 3 wide receiver on your list.
Yeah.
And he's still putting up those numbers for you every week. He's been so reliable. I play him every week.
Yes.
Because his floor is, it's not even, it's up the stairs. It's halfway up the stairs to the second story, his floor every week.
Yes.
Never lets you down, and when he does, you accept it every now and then, but on a whole, so reliable.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, G. Should we give another one? Ben, do you have a wide receiver you want to throw in?
I do. And, this guy, he's probably not going to be a guy, you're going to be a 1 or 2 starting wide receiver. But, in a flex position, he's been someone who, for me and my teams, has just been lights out. And I remember when I was doing some research, I think it might have been for the 2017 or 18, rookie draft. And I think I was watching Auburn because they had Jarrett Stidham and they had Kerryon Johnson. And those were the 2 guys I was sort of like watching and thinking, okay, these 2 guys could go. At that time, Stidham was being talked about as an early round pick, but he then tailed off. And then I watched maybe 2 or 3 of their games, and this guy just kept grabbing these passes in the end zone, contested catches, great route runner. And I think he really just stood out, and I sort of kept him in the back of my mind. And he sort of appeared, in some lists, sort of deep down wide receiver, sort of 20, 21 in some lists. But I ended up taking him in a lot of sort of, 3rd and 4th round picks in rookie drafts. And that's Darius Slater out of
nice.
The Giants. And, he's a guy there who's, made a bit of a deep threat, position for himself as well as a red zone guy. And, from your flex position, that's exactly the kind of player that, you can pop in there week in, week out, and he can probably give you at least, wide receiver 2 numbers, if not, higher for most of those weeks. And I think last year he finished his rookie season, 48 receptions, 740 receiving yards, and 8 receiving touchdowns. I mean, that was just diamond for me.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I agree.
Slayton from your flex that's gold.
Yeah.
Man, and you think of the Giants offense. I mean, obviously this year, especially with Saquon going down, but think of that Giants offense, which is, a little bit bereft of talent. I mean, Evan Ingram's, doesn't seem to be Evan Ingram this year either. And Slayton's still putting up numbers. Yeah,
well, Sterling Shepard's usually banged up. He's a guy who I do like, but he misses too much time. Golden Tate's, I think he's 32 maybe now, and he's coming towards the end of his deal. So
may get traded.
Slayton's got a great future there, and we'll continue to see plenty of targets week in, week out.
Yeah,
I like it.
Absolutely.
Like it. Right, my second wide receiver on our roster is along the same lines as what Ben said. I remember watching Odell Beckham. And every time I watch Odell Beckham, I go, mate, who's this guy running all the underneath routes, getting absolutely hammered and bouncing straight back up, taking balls where, what's the saying, where only God's fear to tread? Is that the correct saying?
That'll do.
But that's Jarvis Landry.
Yes.
Mate, I really liked him coming out, grabbed him everywhere. And I think that's another guy that I don't have a piece of him. The only piece I don't have is I think I've traded him to you on a league too, AJ.
You may, because I love Jarvis Landry. So,
so he was a 63rd pick overall in 2014. As I said, he was in the same draft as his teammate OBJ, who was the 12th pick. Now, guys, I've got a question for you. Outside of Beckham, name 5 receivers, and there's a few of them here that went before Jarvis Landry in the draft, in the 2014 draft. Give me 3.
Allen
Don't
Robinson.
Look, Ben, don't look.
Allen Robinson.
Allen Robinson is one.
I'm trying to think back to that draft and who were the top guys. 6 years ago, so 2 years. It's probably 2 years into their second contract.
Martavis Bryant. that the right
No.
draft?
No. He came out. I think he came out. He might have come in the same draft, but maybe a bit later.
I got Mike Evans.
Mike Evans, correct.
Oh, so it's that draft. Okay.
Yeah, that draft.
One more. Just give me one, and I'll read out the rest.
Okay.
No.
Mike Evans. Sammy Watkins.
Sammy Watkins.
Yes,
There's
Sammy
three. Okay, the ones you didn't get: Brandon Cooks, Kelvin Benjamin, Marquise Lee, Jordan Matthews, Paul Richardson, Devontae Adams, and Cody Latimer. All went before Jarvis Landry. So you take out Mike Williams, Allen Robinson, and Devontae Adams.
Yep.
And he should have been the fourth guy on that list, yet he was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He was the 11th guy.
Wow.
From what he's done. So as you know, in 2018, he was franchise tagged by the Dolphins, and then he was traded to the Browns after signing his franchise tag. And this is what he's done for you ever since he's been in the league. Now, this is incredible. In his rookie season, he was the 31st overall wide receiver. Mate, you knew what he was going to be for you. His first season as a rookie, 112 targets.
Wow. At the Fins.
At the Fins.
Yep.
Year 2, 2015, he was the number 9 wide receiver. I'm just going to give you the targets. I won't give you that. I'll just give you the 166 targets.
Wow.
2016, number 13 wide receiver, 131. Still at the Fins. Still at the Fins. His final year at the Fins, 2017, the number 5 wide receiver. This is PPR, obviously.
Yep.
161 targets. So you know that you have to go and get this guy in PPR leagues.
Oh, hell yeah.
2018 at Cleveland, 149 targets, number 18 wide receiver. Last year, number 12, 138. And this year he's a bit lower at 40, but he's dealing with cracked ribs and a hip injury. But, mate, look what he's done for you. And he's not your number one guy. He's probably been a little underrated, I think, because everybody's trying to find something that's a little bit shiny that scores more touchdowns or looks a little bit better and doesn't do the grunt work. Like, outside of his rookie season, 9, 13, 5, 18, and 12. That's what he's given you as a wide receiver in this league if you went out and grabbed him when he came out. If you
Unbelievable. And Dave's just put up a stat here, G. He's the fastest to the highest number of catches in the first 4 or 5 years.
Yep, it wouldn't surprise me. Well, I just read you out the targets. Just absolutely incredible. And if you didn't go and grab him after his rookie season with 112 targets, you're an idiot.
Oh, yep. Hey, G, you know that.
G, there's a lot of idiots out there, mate.
Yeah, well, I put my hand up for a lot of things where I'm an idiot. Not everything, but a lot.
I'm about to tell you about one, but
okay.
But before I do that, I was going to say, I lost it.
Okay. Do you want to go on the tight end?
Doesn't matter. Yes.
Okay.
No, I've got another wide receiver.
Oh, you have. Sorry.
Yeah, Devontae Parker. It's taken him a long time.
Here we go. We're going to have the Devontae Parker Rashad Perryman bet up again.
It's taken him a very long time to come good. He was my number 1 wide receiver in that draft. And just to prove it, and I've told this story before, but I did take him in a dynasty draft over Todd Gurley that year.
Not smart.
No, still isn't smart.
Still isn't smart. And Todd
never will be smart, but just to prove that was how high I was on him.
Yep.
I put my money where my mouth is and lost it.
I think you won that bet with the Rashad Perryman. I'm not even a Rashad Perryman fan, but I had to pick somebody, and I just picked him. It's just a bad choice. Bad choice. Okay, so have you got another one, Ben, or you happy to move on to tight end?
Yeah, let's move on tight end.
Okay, tight end. Do you want mine, AJ?
I'll give you mine quickly.
Okay.
Hunter Henry.
But he was good coming out.
Of course, he was good coming out.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's the thing, G, as well, is that
It is.
when you look, I know who yours is.
Yes.
And yours is amazing. But again, like Devontae Parker, he took a bloody long time to come round. And I could have picked someone like TJ Hawkinson, but that's just kind of like low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Maybe Hunter Henry is also low-hanging fruit. I think he was probably the only really legit looking tight end coming out that year anyway. But I really, really liked him. And when the Chargers picked him, I was pretty happy. I want to say maybe 2016, maybe.
2016? I'll look it up. You keep talking.
But I just really liked his hands and his, I wasn't going to say so much route running. I just think he just had really good hands and just the ability to bring the ball down. Yeah. And he seemed the perfect sort of, Antonio Gates.
Which is always handy if you're catching the football, to have good hands and you're able to bring it down really well. It's a good trait to have.
Yeah, it is a very good trait to have. But, the Chargers were sort of in the market for an heir apparent to Antonio Gates. And I think he was a fantastic fit. You learnt from one of the best in the game for a couple of years there.
In the 2016
there we
draft.
go. Yep. Lovely. Okay. Gee.
All right.
Tell us your one.
Mate, it's Darren Waller.
Yep.
Mate, he was actually drafted, when he was drafted by the Ravens, he's drafted as a wide receiver. And I do believe, if you go back and listen, which no one's going to do, so it's okay that I can say it because no one's going to put me wrong. But we actually spoke about the fact, or I brought up the fact that I think he's more of a tight end than a wide receiver.
You did. That would be, you would have to go to one of our, that might be in the first year of the show. We've been doing this for.
Yeah, that might have been the first one we ever did.
It might be. It'd be that early. But, it stuck with me. That name stuck with me. But, gee, he's taken so long to mature. Like, literally, unless you traded for him, I don't think you have any stock left, right?
I had Darren Waller
for a long time. You did,
and I think I've only got one share left because I just got rid of it. I just got rid of him, you know, or just let it go. Because if you have a look when he was drafted in 2015, he was placed on IR after I think it was the 6th game, and that was the end of the season for him. He was placed on IR, and his season was over.
Yep.
And at 2015, 2016 he was suspended for four games for violating the substance abuse policy. 2017 he was suspended the entire year without pay for the same charges. So you pretty much, I'm thinking pretty much that's probably when I got rid of my shares. It's like, well,
probably
he's just going to be another.
You don't come back.
No, you don't come back.
Gee, sorry, I'm interrupting your train of thought, but who was that other tight end that you really liked who went to Green Bay? Or did he go to Green Bay originally? The guy who could jump out of the pool?
Oh, yes. Oh.
What was his name? See, if you think of the amount of time and the number of chances Darren Waller has had, and now he's come good, if this other dude, this other dude got involved in trafficking pretty heavy drugs, I think. I think he's in jail. Yeah, so what's his name? It'll come to me.
He was playing at Oregon.
Yes, he was.
And he was a monster, mate. He was a monster. He could have been I was so excited about him. I can't remember his name, actually. You look him up, AJ, while I keep talking.
Yeah,
but
I will.
So then he was signed by, and you got to give credit here to Chucky, because he went and grabbed him off the Ravens practice squad list, brought him to Oakland / obviously now the Las Vegas Raiders. He played 4 games in 2018. Then 2009, it was a hello NFL. I'm Darren Waller.
Yep.
117 targets, 90 receptions, 1,145 yards, 3 TDs, averaged 13.8 fantasy points a game, number 3 tight end. And you thought, he's here, and he's continued it again this year. I know it's only halfway through, but he's the number 3 tight end again already this year. And instead of 13 point out, he's now giving you 15.1 fantasy points a game on average. So he's definitely arrived, and he is an every week starter as a tight end. And I don't mean that because it's not the old if they've got a pulse, you play him. You put him in your lineup because he's a damn good tight end. Yes,
absolutely. Dave's got it. But I Googled Oregon tight end jail, and the first result was Colt Loyola.
Colt Loyola, that's it. Mate, go and have a look. I don't know if you've seen it, but I've brought it up safe stuff. Mate, there is a YouTube version, and he's standing in a public pool.
Filled with water.
Yeah. So the water must be above his waist.
It is.
Right? And then he's got like 6 inches of the actual side of the pool, and he jumps out of the water onto the side of the pool.
Yes.
It's bullshit. He can't do that. Go and have, please, anybody who's listening, just go. I've said, go and have a look at his highlights at Oregon. Heavily addicted to opioids. Yeah, he had a.
Yeah.
But go and have a look at his height, mate. He didn't get a heap of the football, but when he got it, mate, he was a truck. Tyler Higbee was another one that I liked coming out that a lot of people weren't that big on.
Yep.
And they called him the bulldozer, and there's a reason they call, and Colt Loyola was very similar.
Yes. Yep.
I have one that at the top, like it wasn't like a fly out of nothing. He was a guy who was quite heavily touted, and that was Mark Andrews. But what basically happened with Mark Andrews was he was quite highly ranked, and would have been on a lot of people's sort of lists around top tight ends. I think he was at Oklahoma, and I think he was like 3 years, 7 touchdowns each year. He was a good dude. But what happened in that often when do you take a tight end in fantasy, right? Like in terms of a rookie draft particular, like you're not going to be reaching for a first or second round pick probably. And what happened in that draft was I liked him, and I had him, and I was like, I'm going to look for this guy. And then the Ravens drafted Hayden Hurst in the first round. So I was like, okay. And then Andrews went in the 3rd round. So his fantasy value seemed very low at that point. So I got him a premium in a number of leagues. And obviously we all kind of know the story since then. But I think it's always interesting if you look at sort of teams that do that, like take 2, high position players in the same draft. I think that would be quite a good one for another show. Where have teams hit on players, in those positions, particularly like tight end or, running back later in the draft compared to earlier in the draft.
Yep. No, I like it. I write that down. Can we use it?
Good.
We're not going to get copyrighted for that one, Ben. Your idea?
I'll send you the invoice, mate. I'll send you
the invoice. No problems. All right, write that down. Beautiful. Intellectual property, mate. It's here.
Yeah.
AJ, what are you looking at your phone for? You're running the show, mate. We're in an hour and 20. We've been through
Andrew is a champion. He's found the Colt Loyola video. It's on our Twitter feed. So
okay.
I just watched it. It's awesome.
It blew me away. It's just
it
is like, mate. We've all been in a pool, mate. Just try and run through water that's above your waist. You don't move that fast. How the hell do you actually jump? And you're not jumping to a level with the water. You're jumping another 6 inches above the water to above the edge of the pool. Just incredible.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
Incredible. You talk about your box jumps and all that. Anyway.
Okay.
So
those were our teams. Now, the idea that you wanted to kind of flip this on its head G, next week, didn't you? You wanted to pick players that we were completely surprised by.
Yes. Oh,
so,
if you, I'm happy. It's not, nothing is written in stone, AJ.
Okay.
If it's easy for you, which I think it would be, to just, and mate, I've got a massive list of guys that I've missed on. Like that's that I liked and have been no good, mate. That's going to be a lot easier than coming up with today's list.
Oh, hell yeah. I was thinking, man, an opportunity to talk up my Samaje P. Ryan love. It'd be brilliant. But that's boring for almost everybody. So, yeah, your idea is much better. Guys we've missed on, such as CMC, who really, honestly, I had my doubts about. The knocks on CMC coming out were pretty good, I thought. Like a pretty good list of reasons why he was not going to be an effective running back. Yeah.
And he's just proved me wrong big time. But that's not, a lot of people do that. My son's only 15. He does that all the time, mate. So
yes. So we've got a question here, Matt. Quick question, if you have time. OBJ, would you sell him for a first?
Yes.
Sell him?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
He's going to be when he comes back from his injury, he's going to be 29, coming off an ACL in Baker Mayfield-led offense.
He might not be there. We don't know where he's going to be, man. He might not even be there.
He's got to be a star at first round, even early second. I would.
Mate, but even remember the saying, better 1 year too early than 1 year too late. So
absolutely,
if you get him and he has a good year, well, you accept the fact that that is what it is.
And I think also it's a bit of a dynasty thing. G, is that I agree. Sell earlier than later.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that sometimes people try to hang out and get like 95 cents on the dollar, whereas sometimes if you can see the writing on the wall, I'm happy with 70 cents on the dollar. You know what I mean? Like if you're trying to get a first, you may not get a first.
Mate, if someone's offering you a first, I'd be taking a first.
Absolutely, yes.
But if you look, I don't know what OBJ's numbers, I don't have them here right in front of me. But, mate, I don't think fantasy-wise he's been that relevant for a number of years.
Yeah, it's been a little bit up and down.
Yeah.
Hasn't he?
Yep.
Hard to rely on.
Yep, without a doubt.
As opposed to Jarvis Landry.
Mate, you might even be able to go and I'll give you a second and a player.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
Upside, so.
And to link that back to the little game we've been playing the last few weeks, the guy now to have in Cleveland should have been the rookie tight end that you all chose last week.
Yes, I know, mate.
Hunter Bryant.
I know.
He is balling. He has got a massive role in that offense now.
I'm hanging out for. Here's an interesting thing just to round us out with the trade deadline coming up. Players that could possibly be traded to better landing spots. The reason I thought of that was David Njoku. I would love him to go somewhere else.
Yes.
Jameson Crowder.
Oh, man, look what he's doing in that offense. It's unbelievable. He's the only fantasy relevant player there.
Just quickly before we go, Jameson Crowl was one of the wide receivers that I was actually thinking about because I liked him coming out as well.
Oh, really? Nice, Jake.
Yes. So he almost made my list, but
that's a good one.
In Washington and New York. I mean,
he's been stiff. He's been stiff.
Oh, that's that's very tough. Okay. Dave's chimed in here. Sadly, Njoku thinks he's better than he is.
Yeah, I think Dave's just a bit sour. I actually think the Joker you might find is one of those players that doesn't want to be there, and then when he moves to a team that he might want to be at, that you might find that you get the best out of him, which you see a lot. So.
And this is a fair call from Dave. He's young, athletic, and powerful, but still learning the game. That can be true of tight ends in general.
Yes,
because he certainly is very, very athletic, which I know is a term we throw around. Like they're all athletic, but this guy's amazing.
Some more than others.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm still holding several shares of Njoku just in the hope. I mean, he's worth almost nothing now.
No. I'm just going to be riding the bench. He's riding the bench.
You're not trading him for anything. You're either
he's my
holding him or dropping him.
He's my new orange boy. He's cutting the oranges.
That's right. Okay, well, anything else you guys want to
all good, mate.
talk about?
All good.
Well, I think we're done and dusted. So
good to see you again, Ben.
Yeah, thanks for giving this poor boy a home again for another night.
No. Those Vikings. Well, I think Dalvin Cook's going to be playing this week, I believe. So that's a bright spot at least.
If they're not thinking about tanking for Trevor, I don't know what it means at this stage. I mean, the issue is that, you know, the NFC North, you know, the bloody Bears are whatever they are, 5-2. Like there's no point.
Look awful. They looked awful.
Exactly. So there's no point trying to win now, surely.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, we've seen, and I know you're sick of me talking about Justin Herbert, but you see the impact. It's got to be attractive, hasn't it, to teams, rookies? If you see the impact that a young quarterback can have on your franchise, it can be transformative.
Well, the thing about that idea is the Vikings got a little bit unlucky there with Bridgewater because they took Bridgewater late in the first round, and he looked great. He looked really good, and he looked like he fit the offense, and then he got the bad injury. So the Vikings had a bit of bad luck there, and then they went to Sam Bradford and Case Keenum, and now we've got Kirk Cousins. So it's been a bit miserable. But the Vikings also haven't had an early round pick for years. Like they've been, you know, late round, first round picks. And that does make a difference. You know, you can't get probably that quarterback within the top, you know, 50, unless you've got a top 10 pick probably. But, you know, we'll see. It looks like they will have that this year. And I'd be very surprised if they don't take a QB.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, hope you're enjoying NFL action coming into week 8. The season's moving along pretty quick, but it's a lot of fun. We're enjoying it, and fantasy's in full swing. We're over halfway the fantasy season. Go the Tigers. Fantastic win the AFL Grand Final. That's about it, isn't it?
It is, mate. Just struggling wrapping it up.
I do. And big news. Yes, of course. Happy end of lockdown. Andrew's chimed in. Yay. I heard, I don't know if you had this around your place, G, but people were, illegally out letting off fireworks and all sorts of stuff.
Oh, I heard them the other night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the end of lockdown. So
like seriously, as a society, it's the worst thing that's ever happened. 3 months, you know, like I talk about this. My dad grew up during the Second World War. That went for 5 years. He was in England. They were getting bombed.
Yeah.
Seriously. Like you locked down for a little while. It's you know, sad for a lot of people, but you know, it's just like, my God, we don't have any resolve these days. Yep. Unfortunately.
No. Different world. Yep. It was a different time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks, Ben. Thanks to Neil, who was on with us earlier, had to go. Thanks so much. Enjoy your Friday. If you're in Melbourne, enjoy your long weekend. You know, we take time off for a horse race here in Melbourne. So
incredible.
And then, of course, because that's on a Tuesday, then we have to take the Monday. Most people.
Of course.
As well. That's how we roll. But anyway, thanks for joining us, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this. Have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy week 8 of the NFL. And on behalf of all of us, have a great week. See you later. Bruce Arians, quarterback whisperer. See you, everybody.